Betty Davis, née Mabry, July 16, 1944 to February 9, 2022, was an American funk and soul singer. She is remembered for her controversially sexual lyrics and performance style, and as having been Miles Davis's second wife. Background: Betty Mabry, later Davis, was born on July 16, in either 1944 or 1945, sources differ. She grew up in Durham, North Carolina, and just outside Pittsburgh. On her grandmother's farm in Reidsville, North Carolina, she listened to B.B. King, Jimmy Reed, Elmore James, and other blues musicians. One of the first songs she wrote, at the age of 12, was called, "I'm Going to Bake That Cake of Love." Also at that age, her family moved to Pittsburgh. Career: aged 16, Betty left Pittsburgh for New York City, enrolling at the Fashion Institute of Technology while living with her aunt. She soaked up the Greenwich Village culture and folk music of the early 1960s. She associated herself with frequenters of the Cellar, a hip uptown club where young and stylish people congregated. It was a multiracial, artsy crowd of models, design students, actors, and singers. At the Cellar, she played records and chatted people up. She also worked as a model, appearing in photo spreads in Seventeen, Ebony and Glamour. In her time in New York, she met several musicians including Jimi Hendrix and Sly Stone. The seeds of her musical career were planted through her friendship with soul singer Lou Courtney, who produced her first single, The Cellar, with simple, catchy lyrics like, "Where you going fellas, so fly? I'm going to the cellar, my oh my, what you going to do there, we're going to boogaloo there." The single was a local jam for the Cellar. Yet her first professional gig was not until she wrote, Uptown, to Harlem, for the Chambers Brothers. Their 1967 album was a major success, but Betty Mabry was focusing on her modeling career. She was successful as a model but felt bored by the work. "I didn't like modeling because you didn't need brains to do it. It's only going to last as long as you look good." As Betty Mabry, she recorded, Get Ready for Betty, B.W. I'm Gonna Get My Baby Back, in 1964 for DCP International. Sometime in that same era, she also recorded a duet with Roy Arlington and under their joint name, Roy and Betty, released a single for Sapphish entitled, I'll Be There. In 1968, when she was still involved with Hugh Masekela, she recorded several songs for Columbia Records, with Masekela doing the arrangements. Two of them were released as a single, Live, Love, Learn, B.W., It's My Life. Her relationship with Miles Davis began soon after her breakup from Masekela, and in the spring of 1969, Betty returned to Columbia's 52nd Street Studios to record a series of demo tracks, with Miles and Teo Macero producing. At least 5 songs were taped during those sessions, 3 of which were Mabry originals, 2 of which were covers of Cream and Creedence Clearwater Revival. Miles attempted to use these demo songs to secure an album deal for Betty, but neither Columbia nor Atlantic were interested, and they were archived into a vault until 2016 when they were released in the compilation, The Columbia Years, 1968-1969, by Seattle's Light in the Attic Records. After the end of her marriage with Miles, Betty moved to London, probably around 1971, to pursue her modeling career. She wrote music while in the UK and, after about a year, returned to the US with the intention of recording songs with Santana. Instead, she recorded her own songs with a group of West Coast funk musicians. Davis wrote and arranged all her songs. Her first record, Betty Davis, was released in 1973. She released 2 more studio albums, They Say I'm Different, 1974, and her major label debut on Island Records' Nasty Gal, 1975. None of the 3 albums was a commercial success, but she had 2 minor hits on the Billboard R&B chart, If I'm in Luck I Might Get Picked Up, which reached number 66 in 1973, and Shut Off the Lights, which reached number 97 in 1975. Davis remained a cult figure as a singer, due in part to her unabashedly sexual lyrics and performance style, which were both controversial for the time. She had success in Europe, but in the US she was barred from performing on television because of her sexually aggressive stage persona. Some of her shows were boycotted, and her songs were not played on the radio due to pressure by religious groups and the NAACP. Carlos Santana recalled Betty as indomitable, she couldn't be tamed. Musically, philosophically and physically, she was extreme and attractive. After some recording sessions in 1979, Davis stopped making music and returned to Pittsburgh, where she lived quietly. Both Betty Davis, 1973, and They Say I'm Different, 1974, were reissued by Light in the Attic Records in 2007. In 2009, Light in the Attic Records reissued Nasty Gal and her unreleased 4th studio album recorded in 1976, retitled as Is It Love or Desire? Both reissues contained extensive liner notes and shed some light on the mystery of why her fourth album, considered possibly to be her best work by many members of her last band, Herbie Hancock, Chuck Rainey, Alphonse Mouzon, was shelved by the record label and remained unreleased for 33 years. Material from the 1979 recording sessions was eventually used for two bootleg albums, Crashin' from Passion, 1995, and Hangin' Out in Hollywood, 1996. A greatest hits album, Anti-Love, The Best of Betty Davis, was released in 2000. In 2019, Davis released A Little Bit Hot Tonight, her first new song in over 40 years, which was performed by Danielle Maggio, an ethnomusicologist who was a friend and associate producer on Betty. They Say I'm Different. Personal life and death. As a model in 1966, Betty first met jazz musician Miles Davis, who was 19 years her senior. At the time he was separated from his first wife, dancer Frances Davis, and was dating actress Cicely Tyson. Betty began dating Miles in early 1968, and they were married in September 1968. In just 1 year of marriage, she influenced him greatly by introducing him to the fashions and the new popular music trends of the era. In his autobiography, Miles credited Betty with helping to plant the seeds of his future musical explorations by introducing the trumpeter to psychedelic rock guitarist Jimi Hendrix and funk innovator Sly Stone. The Miles Davis album Filha de Kilimanjaro, 1968, which features a photo portrait of Betty on the cover, includes a song named after her. In his autobiography, Miles said Betty was too young and wild, and accused her of having an affair with Jimi Hendrix, which hastened the end of their marriage. Betty denied the affair, stating, "I was so angry with Miles when he wrote that. It was disrespectful to Jimi and to me. Miles and I broke up because of his violent temper." After accusing her of adultery, he filed for divorce in 1969. Miles told Jet magazine at the time that the divorce was obtained on a temperament charge. He added, "I'm just not the kind of cat to be married." Hendrix and Miles remained close, planning to record, until Hendrix's death. The influence of Hendrix and especially Sly Stone on Miles Davis was obvious on the album Bitches Brew, 1970, which ushered in the era of jazz fusion. The origin of the album's title is unknown, but some believe Miles was subtly paying tribute to Betty and her girlfriends. In fact, it is said that he originally wanted to call the album Witch's Brew. It was Betty who convinced him to change it. Davis briefly dated musician Eric Clapton, and she refused to collaborate with him. In 1975, Davis's lover Robert Palmer helped her secure a deal with Island Records. Shortly thereafter, she released her album Nasty Gal. Davis died on February 9, 2022 at her home in Homestead, Pennsylvania from natural causes at the age of 77. Legacy. In 2017, a documentary was released entitled Betty, They Say I'm Different. The live-action, animated TV series Mike Judge Presents Tales from the Tour Bus ended its 2018 season with an episode focusing on Davis's controversial career. Davis's music has been featured in such television series as Orange is the New Black, Girl Boss, Mixed Ish, and High Fidelity. Discography. Studio albums. Singles compilation. Unofficial releases. Crashin' from Passion, 1995, Razor and Tie, Hangin' Out in Hollywood, 1996, Charlie, compilation of material recorded in 1979 and released without the artist's consent. Anti-Love, The Best of Betty Davis, 2000, U Foxy, compilation This Is It. Anthology, 2005, Vampisoul, compilation references literature. Liner notes to Light in the Attic Records 2007 reissue of Betty Davis's self-titled 1973 debut album. External links. Betty Davis et al. About Jazz. Betty Davis et al. Music. Betty Davis discography at Discogs. Betty Davis at IMDb. Betty Davis on Weave. Betty, They Say I'm Different, feature documentary, made in collaboration with Betty Davis herself. The Sound of Young America. Interview on Maximum Fun June 21, 2007. Her first radio interview in 30 years. The Beautiful Dichotomy of Betty Davis. A Rare Conversation with the Elusive Mistress of Funk. Interview on No Depression, February 2010, by Jay Hayes. Miles Davis, The Muse Who Changed Him, and the Heady Brew That Rewrote Jazz. The Guardian, September 5, 2010, by Neil Spencer, including 2010 interview, Emily Lordi, The Artful, Erotic and Still Misunderstood Funk of Betty Davis, New Yorker, May 2, 2018.